Hello, good morning everybody. My name is Chrissy and today I'm going to be giving you a prediction reading for the 20th of May. Now, if you're new to my channel, I let my guides flow through to you and I just see what information comes up. So if you have tapped on my video, stay watching because there might be a message in here you're meant to receive today. For everybody else out there, hi to all my subscribers. I love chatting to you guys, you know that. We always chat down below and we share each other's experiences because these are the things that keep us supported and keep us moving forward. And you guys, I just want you to really know how much you help me as well, because this is just not an easy road, is it, that we've been faced with. Gosh, here in Australia, they're kind of rolling out the old narrative again. And I know I was just reading a message, I think it was from you, Zach, out there, about America and how they're really starting to try and implement things again, and it's just like rehashing, isn't it, of the same old narrative, and it's so exhausting. We're just over it, aren't we? Anyway, I'm just gonna close my eyes and we'll see what the guides have got to say today. Things are heating up. Now, they're showing me today a saucepan. So they're showing me when you bring something to the boil. So when you bring something to the boil, and I've talked about this before in my videos about things bubbling up to the surface. Sorry, guys. And I mean the truths. These bubbles are popping and the truths are coming out. Well, this is what they're showing me. But they're also showing me that sometimes when you, for example, turn your back and forget you've got something on the stove, it starts to burn, and it starts to burn at the base. And you're either your fire alarm goes off or something goes off, and then you run into the kitchen and you pour it out and you look at the bottom of the sauce and there's like all burnt gunk at the bottom of the saucepan. Well, this is the image that they're showing me. It's like we need to get a scraper now and kind of clean out the gunk. So this is what the guides are saying to me. There's a lot of gunk laying right at the bottom. So this is around government, parliament, any of this nonsense that's going on. There's a very deep, burnt, toxic layer of gunk. And we have to scrape it and get it sort of out of that saucepan now. And that's what they're kind of showing me. So this is why I always talk a lot, I know, about getting our votes right, because it's very important who we get into our parliaments to help with the passing of these bills. I know in Canada you don't seem to have any say in any of this. Even the people who've been voted in by the people don't seem to be having any say, as we know in Canada, you poor things. But this is what they're saying. We've got to scrape out that gunk. It's like it doesn't belong. So we're scraping it out of the bottom of the saucepan. It's becoming all burnt and like overcooked. So it's like inedible is the example they're giving me. And that's what they're saying about all these things that have been sort of boiling away. It's caused things to kind of burn, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that scraping off with the scraper of all the gunk that lays at the bottom of like the burnt saucepan. And this is all the rubbish and all the lies and all the deception. We need to get it out of that saucepan. But like I said, with these bubbles that are boiling and popping, it's exposing things. So what happens is if you leave something on the stove, like I just said, eventually all the liquid on top evaporates anyway, because it's boiling away and the steam's coming up and it all boils, and then you're just left with the gunk exposed. And that is the message the guides are giving me today. Then we can get rid of everything. So we have to keep exposing, and bringing those lies, deception, all that has to come out into the light. And that's what I'm getting. And that's how we get to the gunk, and we can scrape it off and get rid of it. And this is around global leaders, politicians, government, all the ones that are, even the puppet masters. We might need to get rid of a few of them. I think I could think of a couple offhand. Bill Gates and Fauci do come to mind. But we've got to remember also that they are not just the only ones involved here. We're looking at, the big corporates like BlackRock, Vanguard. We've even got these big corporate places like Amazon and all this that are kind of just taking everything over, as we know. They don't even hide it. So that's what I'm getting. If we keep those bubbles popping, that's when everything evaporates, and then they're just exposed like the gunk in the bottom of the saucepan. I hope that makes sense to anyone who cooks out there. I've got a few of you actually that do a fair bit of cooking out there. I think it's one of our passions and creativities, isn't it? So keep cooking, everybody. Let's hope we can cook these parliamentary leaders and things into being exposed. I'll see what else the guides give us today. Yeah, there's a lot around cooking today. They're showing me a big saucepan, like a big pan rather, a big round pan, and the butter is like melting. So again, this is that melting. Things are melting. Things aren't solid anymore. And this comes around the reset. This is around the agenda. This is around their narratives. They're not solid anymore. They're melting. They're melting away. And again, it's that exposure. Things become a different form. So this is what the guides are giving me today. You can change, things can be changed if you put enough heat on them. So this is around government. If we put the heat on them and want true answers and we expose those truths, what is the reset? Expose the treaty to people and let them know what's going on. These are, when you put the heat on things, it melts. And so they're showing me like a square block of butter, and it's like half melted. So, you know, you could pretty much take this as things are starting to melt. Things are starting to, the heat's starting to be put on governments and these global leaders because of the exposure. It's putting heat on them. And some things are kind of, I guess you could say, collapsing, but it's that melting away. When you're in a solid block, it's very almost untouchable, isn't it? But if you put a block of butter onto heat, onto a pan, wow, it starts to melt pretty quick. It can take a matter of minutes. So this is what I'm saying. When you keep that heat on, it starts to melt things away. And this could be around just keeping that pressure on. I know a lot of you have talked about the petitions around the pandemic treaties, I think in Canada, Quebec, and there's also, I think, one here going in Australia. There's a lot of things happening now that are keeping the heat and that spotlight on these issues. And that's what they're showing me about the butter melting in the pan. If we can keep the heat like turned up, that's when things can still start to melt away and not stay solid, which is, you know, when you think of something solid, it's a bit untouchable, isn't it? But like I said, throw it on the heat and then it starts to melt because it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. People ask questions, you know, and that's the analogy they're giving me today. Oh, it's like having a cooking lesson today, isn't it? I'll see what else the guides are going to give us today. Now they're getting that things are very disturbing for people now. This is shaking people to the core because it's not an uplifting experience, is it? When you're being told, okay, now your life is a continuous journey of jabs. How would you honestly feel about that? You know, this is not a joy-filled journey of people thinking that they're just, what? It's like people are just going, it's like I said the other day, they're scratching their head going, what? And basically, as you guys know out there and we've experienced here, most people have had COVID here. All the ones that were jabbed did. And it was just like a little head cold. Of course, they're saying like because they were jabbed, they, you know, won't get as sick. However, as we all know, a lot of us unjabbed, etc., haven't been getting those things. So it has definitely, and it's becoming very obvious here in Australia. I don't know what's happening where you guys are. Maybe comment and let me know down below. But their immune systems are dropping. They are. They're getting lots of other ailments. And I think this is probably happening globally, because we've already heard about the the liver, is it liver? Oh, no. is it liver failure? Oh no, kidney disease. Sorry, God, I'm getting so much going on. Probably that as well. Anyway, I think it's the liver or the kidney. Anyway, it's one of those. I think it's kidney disease actually is on the rise in children, and they're just saying, "Oh, that's weird, isn't it?" And then there's all these things that are just on the rise. I actually shared a video to my Facebook page yesterday. It's Chrissy Fitzgerald Psychic Life Coach page, if anyone's looking for it. I know I've had some friend requests on my normal page, which is my private page. I keep that just for my family to keep it away from the CV so I don't get fact checked on that like I do on the other one. But yeah, I posted a video yesterday about the military are really standing up and coming out because their statistics on the way that the health has gone in their health checkups is dramatically different. And I mean dramatically different. When you hear the statistics on that, it's quite horrifying. And these are healthy young men and women in the military, and I'm pretty sure it's in America. This is just becoming really obvious now, and they've got their data. Their data's collected, and they're putting it out there. So this is really strong truths and information, and that's what I'm definitely getting today. Is that, you know, things are becoming a huge issue that people do have to question it. You have to question, why are all these things on the rise? I'm definitely getting that today, and maybe go check that out if you haven't seen that video yet, because this is documented proof that something is shifting and what is causing all these people's immune systems to drop. I mean, we kind of all knew that. I know if you're watching my videos, anybody out there, we knew that this could possibly lead to that immune system breakdown. And you know, I'm just waiting for that day. Well, they're sort of half talking about it, that we get the HIV, you know, slowly trickling in. They're going to start trickling that information in. Don't even doubt it. Gee, you better take these HIV drugs because they're really good. And of course, Fauci will be pushing that, being the master of the HIV, which we know he wasn't. He was a huge failure with handling that. And the misinformation he spread and destroyed people's lives even back then for the gay community was just appalling. But of course, no one talks about that, do they? I'll just see what else we get today, but there's definitely becoming this obvious drop in people's immunity, which was pretty predicted. I'll see what else the guys have got to say today. Now, these politicians are very cunning when it comes to climate. They know... I hate the climate change thing. It just drives me crazy because we know it's all lies. They're very clever at this manipulation. And it's funny because I was just watching... I just turned the news on for a bit because, you know, I always turn it on for a bit of a giggle just to see, you know, what they're feeding the people who are asleep. And they were actually... There's more wet weather here. I know I've been talking about the floods here in the east coast of Australia for many months now, and they're wiping out towns virtually. Well, I can't be sure, but towns are being wiped out down the east coast because they're pretty much wanting to build their smart cities and their fast rail all the way down the east coast of Australia. And now there's more floods coming. They've just predicted it again for Queensland, which is at the top end. And it's a miracle. You can get an app on your phone now, and all you have to do is put in your location digitally, and they will shoot you the weather directly to you for that exact location. It's amazing, isn't it? And then, of course, they have your exact location and where you've been and what you're going, and more digitally tracking and tracing about the weather. Which is just absurd to me. Like, why would you even need that? Like, why? But people will just load that app up, another app for your phone. Goody gumdrops. We don't know what the weather's doing. This is getting, like, so obvious. I can't believe that people aren't even seeing what is actually being served up to them on a platter. It's ridiculous. More stupidity and more stupidity. So now they're threatened with the floods and that again up in Queensland, and it just goes on and on and on. And again, it seems to all end with the digital apps coming onto their phones and tracking and tracing and knowing everything that you're doing again. Like, why would you even need that? It is so ridiculous. So that's the kind of thing that the guides are kind of saying around this climate. It's an agenda that is the tool that they're still pushing out the narrative, which we all know that. But the people waking up, you know, I talk about it, I know so much, but I can't help it because they're the main people that I tend to focus on at the moment, because we need them to wake up to help strengthen, you know, the blob movement that I talk about all the time, which is us fighting against these things. But they're starting to question, because, you know, common sense says to you, why would I need, for example, an app for the weather? It, like, you got to remember, these are clever and smart people. Human beings are quite clever and smart. They're not completely dumb. And they do see these things. And this is what I said yesterday about that, solving the crime, solving the investigation, putting all the information up on the board and working all this out now. And seriously, this is happening. People are working it out. My husband came home from work, for example, yesterday, and he said, "Chick, people are waking up." And I said, oh, because he works with the public, and I always sort of suss him out, and I go, has anyone said anything? Like, you know, what are you getting at work? Because once upon a time it was all the jab, you know, terrible V, CV and all that, and we've got to protect everyone. And he said, no. He said now he's getting people who are talking about the WHO treaty, and they're coming in and they're going, what's all this, you know, this is all rubbish. What are they feeding us now? And this is the kind of stuff he's getting. And this is from men as well as women, but he's getting it a lot from like men and cockies or farmers that are living out in remote areas. They're piecing it together. So look, it's good to just kind of get that feedback sometimes, just to lock in and confirm to us that people are trying to solve this, as we know, horrific crime against humanity, we could say. But it is like a crime investigation that they have to work out themselves. I'll just see what else we get today, but there's definitely people still waking up. They are waking up. I know it's very hard to believe that, but the guides are always saying to me they are waking up in masses now. And you know, we've always said it's about that hip pocket, which we know, but it's also about things like when they hear about the pandemic treaty, and that's thanks to you guys sharing that kind of knowledge, things people that a lot of people haven't even heard of, and now it's all starting to make sense. Well, that's why they're pushing this and this. And if we go down that road, oh my gosh, what will happen to us then? See, don't forget that people have seen visuals of Shanghai. That's still been out on mainstream news. They've had little visuals of things. So, you know, that's what I say about people taking those snapshots and putting them together. Got snapshots in their memory of things that have happened. I remember, you know, people would be going, I remember that truckers convoy in Canada, how heavy-handed, and maybe that was the UN that flew in and you know, took over from the police in those sort of situations. And God, we had cops here in Victoria that were shooting people with rubber bullets. So this isn't something that's just like made up. These things are happening, and people are taking those snapshots and now they're piecing it all together. And I think the biggest thing that the guides are saying today is people are piecing together that there are global connections. Now, that was something that I think a lot of these people who were asleep didn't realise. They were just living like here in Australia, or living in Finland or Canada or Iceland, America. It didn't matter where you were living. You just thought you were just going by your leaders in your country and you were sort of independent of all this. But now this is starting to open up and become the global stage, isn't it? Everything that's being talked about is becoming a global matter, which again locks in that these pandemic treaties, the reset agenda, these things are becoming reality, and people can't deny that anymore. And that's what the guides are saying. It's in front of their face. It's a global issue. As frightening as it is, but these people are being forced to see it now because there's too much connecting and joining those dots on the crime investigation. Oh, how funny are some of these analogies. I'll just see if there's any other messages from the guides today. Now it's showing visuals of us, so it's showing visuals of you and I, and that we're always willing to stand up. We have our stability, and we have lots of fight left in us. As much as we get tired, and I've yawned a lot in the last week or so, sorry guys, but I just can't help it. I have to share them with you when I do things like that. But now we're feeling a lot stronger again, and it's like I said, you have to have those little periods of rest where you re-energize and recoup yourself. That's very important. But we're very willing to always stand up, and it's showing me, like, if you think about a protest march, that's a classic example that most people can relate to, especially you guys out there. I know in Canada you probably marched in a few. Same with, you know, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany. I'm sure you've had a few. But what it is that in New Zealand, I know you definitely have, we're still picking people up. So it's like we've had a protest march. We've had the pushback from like the cops or the riot squad or whoever, and it's knocked a heap of people over. But we're kind of the ones that are still standing, and now we're picking them up. So people are like knocked over, not knowing what's happening, and we're reaching down and we're picking them up to help them to become stronger. And that's the energy that they're kind of giving me today, is that we're like the it's sort of saying like the core group, but we're like the, I guess you could call it like, we're like the support fence behind them. If you think of a whole heap of people standing together in strength, for example, if you were holding your arms joined together, it's like a big barrier, and you're like this big barrier. If we think about it, whenever those protest marches are moving forward, they're like very strong when they link their arms. They're a lot harder to push over, and that's what I'm getting that we are to these people who have been who are stumbling and falling back now over and not knowing what's going on. And what do you mean we don't have our freedom? And then they fall over. And this is just an analogy. This isn't real. It could end up real, but this is just the visual of, but we will lend that hand and we will pull them up again. So we're still, we still have that strength, courage, I would say bravery. I gave you that song yesterday from The Greatest Showman. What a great song. I went and watched it yesterday. I hope you guys have too. Sung by the bearded lady. This Is Me. What a great song. It just had great bravery in it, because she is she was different, and she still stood to these people that were just attacking them, but she still push forward, and that's a great example. And that's why we have that strength, because we've already done it. We know how to stay in our stability and our power and our strength, and that's why we can help other people to find theirs. And look, it's not like we're going and we're just telling them everything to do. They still have to do it. I've said that the whole way through. They have to do it on their own, because it's their awakening experience. But when they can see that we've all got our arms linked and we're strong in numbers, that's when they start to sort of come back towards the fence. So we're like this giant, a Besser block, you could say, a fence, and we will give them stability as well, because they know they can find safety with us. Because now things are being exposed, they're not feeling safe with their governments, and they're feeling lied to, and they're going to withdraw from that, and they're going to look for that stability. So that's why they'll move sort of back towards us. So that's why I always say to you, it's very important to keep your power and your strength up, because like I said, it's the same equivalent. For example, if you're living with someone with depression, and they're so depressed, but they start to drag you down and you start getting depressed, like that crab in the bucket thing, it's no good to anybody, because you're all going to collapse into a big heap. But if you can remain strong and stable in your beliefs, your thoughts, and you can walk parallel with them, then you're shining that light and that strength, and it's giving them the strength to rise up, so they can come up and kind of meet your vibration instead of the other way around, if that makes sense. Because you've got more strength to be able to help pull them out when you're in a good, clear and strong headspace. So That's why it's very important, and I've always focused on that, about us sitting back watching that show and just remaining in our own power and strength. It's very, very important. I'll just see if there's any final messages today. Believe, trust, don't hide. We are managing this so well. The guides are saying that we're like now in the management positions, which is kind of nice. It's better than being in the, like, you know, the, oh God, I don't even know what you'd call that position we were in for a while. Oh, the invisible position, maybe, where we were invisible. We had to be under the invisibility cloak for a while, didn't we? Way back when. Not anymore. We're not under that anymore. But this is what the guys are saying, that we've all been put into these management positions. It's like, and on an even keel too. I'm not saying we're above people. That's not what I'm saying at all. But because we're in clear mind and we can think clearly, we're in a position where we can focus things into fruition, and we can create things, and we can make things happen. We have good agendas. We're not lost anymore. You know, we found that true inner strength and power, and that's why the guides are saying we're now in these positions of management, because we're seeing things from a different level. We're seeing things from a more managerial level, because we're managing things. So that means that if you think of anyone in a managerial level in a work situation, they're always delegating, they're sorting out staff, they're doing a lot of the sort of hiring, firing, they're ordering. There's a lot of things that you have to do, because you can see it from a different level than just a worker who's not sort of looking at the overall picture of how the business is, for example, a business, we'll say, is functioning, and what's being churned out, what the profit and losses are, how's the staff going, who's off sick, who's not off sick. You don't have all that to worry about. But now I feel like, because we see things from that higher level, like I said, on the mountain, we have this ability to actually sense, feel. We have that knowing that I talk about all the time, which helps to give us a great awareness. So these positions of management are purely because we have a different awareness than the people who are still waking up, you know. And that's not, I'm not doing it, and the guides are saying, they're not saying that in a big-headed or conceited way. They're actually saying that this managerial position is not like given out lightly, that the managerial position is because of all the training that you did to get there, all the hurdles that you overcome, your insight and your intuitive, sort of, like I said, the knowing. You have a way of making good decisions. So that's the position that we're now in this journey, is that, like, the guides are putting us into a managerial position where we're managing things now. And I think that could come back to our own life too. We're managing that pretty well. We're managing to stay away from the people that bring us negativity. We're managing to not take on the narrative from the mainstream media. We're managing to have our life around all this nonsense that's going on. And that's why they're giving me that sort of managerial position. And it's in a very positive way, and it's in a very humble way as well. But that's something that I really want you to know today, is that you're managing your life very well. If you're watching my videos, the guides are saying it's almost like they've promoted you to a management position because of your knowledge, your strength, your power to deal with people. And that's what the guides are saying to you, that they've promoted you. Oh, thank you, guides. They're so nice to promote us into a managerial position. If only we were getting the pay for the managerial position. Maybe we could ask the guides for that as well. That would be good, wouldn't it? Oh, we do our stuff all voluntarily. It's a bit frustrating, isn't it, sometimes? Oh, I do laugh at my guides. I'll just see if they've got any closing messages for us today. They're saying, like, channel your inner sanctum. So they're like, you know, really channel into that calm place and stay in your sanctuary, just whatever brings you peace and happiness and makes you whole is where you need to be. And this is today, you know. I know some of us out there, we love to do different things. You know, I'm off to the gym this morning. I know, Martin, you're probably getting your coffee. I know every one of us does different things. Danielle, you're probably going for a bushwalk or a bike ride. We're all different. We all do different things. So that's what they're saying to me today. Just keep nurturing yourself, keep staying strong, and like they said yesterday, keep chugging along like the little steam train, because that little steam train has now been promoted into a managerial position. Oh, they are so funny sometimes, aren't they? Well, look, I'm going to leave you with that today. I think that's enough information for anybody to get their head around. I thought it was quite uplifting today, and I feel a lot better today. I'm not as tired, so I'm hoping that you guys are feeling a lot better out there too. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when my videos pop up. Look, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. It's Friday here, and enjoy. I will say goodbye from Australia, and don't forget to hit the like buttons, and please comment. You know I love hearing from you guys. You're great, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye from Australia. Take care, everyone. Bye.